That was a RWBY episode, for what it's worth. There's certainly some things I didn't dislike. For instance, I like how brutally honest Salem was to Cinder when Cinder was like, yo, I think, and Salem was like, oh, goo goo gaga baby bitch Cinder wants to think, oh, so cute, also suck my dick bitch. And I also like, the chase scene had some alright action. I'll give it this, it was unique. The last chase I remember was in Volume 2, though that one had the difference of being fun and exciting and leading into one of the best fight sequences in the show's history. At the very least, I like that the heroes didn't win this one. Having a Grimm actually pull one up on the heroes is pretty cool. Other than that, there wasn't much that excited me. Okay, so we got a scene in the prison. Watts is thrown back in, so I guess we'll get the resolution on that plot point later. Crow says, I made a deal with the darkness, which sounds really edgy and kind of makes the speech just sort of weird to me. I do feel bad for Crow, but like, And also, the explanation for why Crow hasn't been absolved of guilt because of Robin's semblance is just, you don't want the truth, you want someone to blame! But also, why the hell hasn't Ironwood come down here? Ironwood should be down here to see his friend Crow. Keep in mind that Crow is the only one who hasn't directly opposed Ironwood out of that whole group. Ironwood, being a fucking human being, should be willing to hear out his friend, or, from a more cynical point of view, grill him on what really happened to Clover, his other friend. Even with the perspective of evil bad man Ironwood, you'd think he'd try to get Crow to understand him at least once, get Crow on his side, on Atlas' side, so Crow can get Team RWBY on his side too, or at least deal with Team RWBY to some extent. I don't fucking know anything. We've not had Ironwood do pretty much anything this volume. We've had him throw responsibility onto someone else, and that's pretty much it. There's a scene of Marrow turning towards Crow that I thought would lead to a brief scene of him just being like, you didn't really kill Clover, did you? And then Crow responding in a way that makes him second guess his convictions, because we all know the Aesops are probably going to turn good by the end of this volume anyway, or the next one, I don't know. They're going to turn good probably though. I like how Yang, the person who can do this, also says she wishes somebody could fly to catch the Hound. Very glad they remembered all of the characters' abilities. Oh hey, here's Whitley, the kid who lost his entire family, feels isolated and has a mother and a sister who both abandoned him to be alone. Let's treat him like utter fucking shit, point a sword in his face, demand him to go to his room, and while we're at it, Weiss, make sure you treat him with maximum disdain. And don't at all seem concerned for your mother as well. And will someone close that fucking door? Then Ren, being the big balls badass he is, just says shit how it is. They weren't ready to be huntsmen and huntresses. They weren't cut out for this shit, and the hard decisions they've made just got them into worse shit. But in all this, not only does he not bring up what Yang did in betraying Ironwood's trust to her face, but she has the goal to attack him, when in the first episode of this fucking volume, she said pretty much the same thing to RWBY, just directed directly towards RWBY. Like, she wasn't as blunt as Ren, but she did say, things didn't work out in your command, RWBY. Is this her fighting against Ren because he didn't absolve Yang of blame? Pack it in, Yang! Fuck you! Like, the only difference is that Yang specifically targeted RWBY, while Ren was just more general to the group as a whole. And Yang's argument of, oh well, were we ready when we fought Haven? Were we ready when we took down the Leviathan? When, like, that's a false fucking equivalency. You didn't make any big decisions in Haven. Fucking, are you serious? You didn't have a choice in the Battle of Haven. What else would you have done? Left? You didn't have a fucking choice. You were asked to go in and ambushed. And the Leviathan, you didn't do shit, Yang. RWBY did everything. You were fucking useless. Literally the only people who needed to stop the Leviathan were Calavera, RWBY, and fucking Cordovan. Cordovan was more useful than you, Yang. Half the people watching this video might not even remember who the fuck Cordovan is. You dense, irritating beast of burden. Ren has said nothing wrong. Things haven't gone well. And honestly, everything Yang brought up was before they became huntsmen and huntresses officially. Once they did, that's when it all went to shit. And honestly, if Team RWBY hadn't done anything, namely, not lying to Ironwood all those times that they did, maybe he would trust them. He would listen to them when they suggest he not go off the deep end. Maybe they could be there for him. He would trust them if they were there to be for him, support him, be a pillar to hold him up when there is no other pillar. Maybe things would have gone better, Because they weren't part of his army. They didn't need to follow, like, all the strict army military bullshit that someone like Winter or Clover would have to. They could have been there to back him up and advise him on things, to just like be there. Just be there. Listen to his problems. Maybe things could have gone better, but that's not what happened. This is. Ren has every right to air out his grievances. Oh, but no, he's not part of the Team Ruby hive mind. He's not one with the collective and he thinks otherwise. Uh-oh. Shut up, Ren. Be put in your place. Good boy. At least John is mature about it. Like, he hears Ren out, to an extent. I mean, Ren did have to put him in his place too, but seriously. Did anybody else find the bit when Salem is torturing Oscar and it cuts to an almost completely static shot of the Hound really funny? Like, I audibly laughed at that. That's the best joke of the volume. Oh, then Hazel shows up and beats up Oscar. Remember when he felt bad about harming a child just because Ozpin happened to be in him? And he was like, I regret having to beat up this kid. Oh, not anymore. I mean, yeah, Oscar talked back to him about his sister, but Oscar's a fucking child. Hazel should expect children to be stupid, you irrational asshole. Then it ends with Cinder deciding to go fuck off. Just fuck off, leave Salem and take on Ruby after Salem slapped her bitch ass. But she wants to go with just Neo? Why didn't she grab Emerald and Mercury, her posse, the villain trio from the first 3 volumes that haven't had a proper scene since the 4th? You know, the volume where Mercury didn't say anything at all? Speaking of which, Mercury isn't here. Emerald goes to back up Cinder. Mercury's nowhere in sight. Fuck Mercury, I guess. And that was the episode. Did I enjoy it? Not at all. It was pretty lame. And also, I felt the way it was very clearly portrayed Ren as being in the wrong, for being honest, is awful. Also, what the fuck was that people were saying about, you don't need winter clothes, they have aura. You're an idiot, Nemesis, why are you criticizing that? Oh, look at that! Your aura levels are dropping! You're going to die! If only you had proper fucking attire, you dumb shits!